Thank you very much for this very kind presentation. Mr. Mayor of the city of Goyang, Mr. President of the City Council, dear Ambassador Wang Suu Kim, all dignitaries and participants, first and foremost, allow me to say how honored I am to be part of this very impressive event, and to start with congratulating the young winners of the Youth Challenge Prize 2022. And to say also that I was very impressed by the opening, the drums, the music, the traditional Korean music of the high school children. And I would say that this is the way Korea always impresses me, with its reconciliation of modernity and of heritage, a deep respect for the heritage, long and distinct heritage of your country. I'm also very honored to be here because the city of Goyang indeed is famous for the Kintex, for the biggest Korean international exhibition center venue of many of the events that are held every year. And also next to the beautiful Lake Park, where I would say the landmark events, the Goyang Lake Art Festival, and also the International Flower Festival are held every year. And it once again speaks about the importance of culture in the urban development. I believe that understanding globally the trends in urbanization, which are likely to unfold over the coming years, particularly now when we are recovering from the COVID-19 pandemics, is crucial to understand the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development 2015, which was adopted when the Secretary General of the United Nations was your eminent citizen, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, to whom I have a big respect, and sitting now as a member of the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens. We are seeing that nowadays cities are here to stay, and the future of humanity to a very large extent is urban. The experience of the early COVID-19 pandemic, where some residents fled to the big cities, I believe was a temporary response and will not fundamentally change the course of global urbanization. We are witnessing nowadays a world that will continue to urbanize over the next at least 3 decades, from 56% in 2021 to 68% in 2050, as per the projections of the United Nations. And this translates into the increase of urban residents of 2.2 billion people globally. And most of them, vast majority of them, living in Asia and Africa. All regions of the world are expected to become more urbanized, although highly urbanized and more developed regions are expected to stabilize or experience even sometimes decline. But this tells us that the cities are here to stay and that the future of humanity indeed is urban. I believe now the big challenge is how to make cities inclusive, livable, resilient, and what is most important, sustainable. I believe that there are several aspects that need to be discussed here. That cities are powerful motors of dynamism, innovation, but also of living together. It is important to notice that infrastructure planning, water, energy supplies are essential hardware for sustainable cities. But cities need also the software to work. And this is where I believe protection of heritage, culture, creativity, education, open cultural spaces, public spaces are important when we speak about sustainable urban cities. And I would say that the topic of your conference resonates deeply with my experience as Director General of Unesco, where we have been advocating to include the protection of heritage, the promotion of culture and open public cultural spaces in urban development as part of 2030 for sustainable development, because creativity and diversity are the key drivers of urban development. We know from experience that cultural activities can foster social inclusion and dialogue among diverse communities. That tangible, intangible heritage are integral part of a city's identity, creating a sense of belonging and cohesion. And that culture indeed embodies the soul of a city, allowing it to progress and build a future of dignity for all. And this reflection indeed is a cross-cutting theme of the core of UNESCO's work over the last decade in its advocacy that culture is integrating in Agenda 2030. And indeed, for the first time ever, culture became directly included in the goal number 11 about sustainable urban development, which aims to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. It is in the target number 4, which speaks about the protection of heritage in the urban development, which is, I believe, one of the biggest achievements of UNESCO's advocacy, and not only UNESCO, but I would say all partners of UNESCO, of countries, and I would like to say that Korea was a very, very active member of the group of friends that we established in New York within the United Nations General Assembly, the group of friends on culture and development that was making a huge effort also and advocacy to integrate it in this important global agenda. I would like here to mention another landmark event, this period which still stays as one of the milestones that is shaping the new urban development agenda adopted in the 2016 in Ecuador during the Habitat, third International Habitat Conference on Housing and Sustainable Urban Development. And this ensured the crucial role of culture that was inscribed in the future strategies, focusing on urban heritage safeguarding, conservation, management, but also on the promotion of cultural and creative industries in urban settings as a resource also for urban development. The UNESCO Global Report on Culture and Sustainable Urban Development still is important, is a key to what makes cities attractive, creative, and sustainable. And the name of the report stays for itself: Culture, Urban Future. We know from history that culture indeed is at the heart of urban development. Evidence through cultural landmarks, heritage, traditions. Without culture, cities are vibrant, as vibrant life spaces do not exist. They're merely concrete and street construction, prone sometimes to social degradation and fracture. It is culture that makes the difference. So how can culture be integrated into urban strategy to ensure their sustainability? I think this is one of the most important questions that is being discussed today. The report, Culture of Urban Development, identifies 3 main aspects of the contribution of culture to sustainable urban development: human-centered and inclusive cities, peaceful and tolerant societies, and creative and innovative cities. And I think nowadays, after the COVID-19 pandemic, when we recover, it is really useful to look once again to this report and to see what actually brings sustainability to the recovery, with the main targets of inclusiveness and cohesion and innovation in urban development. Of course, a lot is very much linked to the cultural convention of UNESCO, which is about cultural heritage protection, cultural and natural heritage protection, about the intangible cultural heritage, And I think here, Korea knows very well the power of cultural heritage, both tangible and intangible, having 21 already intangible cultural elements inscribed on the representative list, having also 12 Korean sites of outstanding universal value. And I would say developing a very strong creative sector. The World Heritage Sustainability Development Policy, elaborated in 2015, also which was adopted by the World Heritage Committee, gives a lot of elements in this protection about the future of urban development and protection of heritage. I would like to say here that another very important initiative is the UNESCO Creative Cities Network, launched in 2004, which promotes cooperation among cities, placing creativity, cultural industries at the heart of their aspirations for sustainable development and local cooperation, but also at international level. And already in Korea, there are important cities, 8 UNESCO cities in the 7 areas which these 8 cities are: Seoul, the city for design; Incheon for craft and arts; Bucheon for literature; Busan for film industry; Daeju for music; Gwangju for media arts; Jeongju for gastronomy; and Tonggyugyong for music. And I believe that when we speak about creative industries, once again, Korea can boast with one of the most developed sector in this area, because the development of creating industry, the cultural industries, which moves into the center in many countries, I would like to say once again, Korea is a shining example of this, an undisputed leader in the convergence of technology, culture, groundbreaking innovation there. And the recent experience of Korea these last years in developing culture and creative sectors has been indeed remarkable in its scale and speed. According to the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, the cultural content industry, including films, videos, games, drama, Korea has 2.6% of the global market share, the 7th largest in the world, generating about $114 billion and also 680,000 jobs. Now, my last remark is about development of tourism and attractivity, but I would say not just tourism, but sustainable tourism. And the notion about sustainable tourism is indeed extremely important. I would like to say that UNESCO and the World Tourist Organization have worked for the last decade in order to define and to launch and to defend principles of sustainable tourism. And I would like to just mention what are these principles of sustainable tourism. It is about using resources sustainably. This is the link once again with the economic development, the social inclusion and protection of the environment. It is reducing the overconsumption and waste. It's about maintaining biodiversity. It is about integrating tourism into planning, and by doing this, supporting local economies. I think this is extremely important. And when we speak about your ambition of Goyang to make it a big MICE destination, I think it is important once again to embed it very deeply. And I'm very impressed by the ambitions and the speeches of the mayor, of the speaker of the local council, because it's the right indeed approach of involving the local communities. It is about consulting stakeholders and the public, all the stakeholders, the private, the communities, the civil society, and the local authorities. I believe, last but not least, it is really to look at the last tendencies which are linked with sometimes the challenges because of the climate change, challenges of the energy conservation, challenges of water conservation, of waste reduction, of the single-use plastic reduction. And we are seeing that nowadays there is a lot more focus with the what we are seeing currently, the impact of the climate. It should be very well integrated also into the sustainable tourism decisions and ambitions that are having. I would say that, in conclusion, that cities indeed nowadays, I think Mr. Ban Ki-moon has said it, reiterated it many times when he was Secretary General of the United Nations, but he continues to advocate for inclusive cities and inclusive urban development. And I believe that cities are indeed the battle where sustainable development will be won or lost, where culture plays a critical role in this quest. Thank you for your attention, and I'm here also to participate in the debate.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. 네, 큰 박수 부탁을 드리겠습니다.